Good afternoon, Your Honor, and may it please the court. My name is Isaiah Lewis. I am counsel for the petitioner, Ms. Ava Rodney. Today, we are talking about liberty and equality for vulnerable communities. Ava Rodney, a transgender student going on her last year of high school, dealing with bullying and humiliation on a day-to-day basis, mentally and physically, just because she came out as transgender. The school, Metro City High School, violated Ava's First Amendment right by not letting her wear the clothes that correspond with her gender identity. They also violated Ava Rodney's 14th Amendment right by not letting her go to the bathroom that corresponds with the gender she is trying to express. We therefore ask the court to reverse the lower court's decision and not make it just safer for the whole other students, but for the school as a whole. The school violated Ava's First Amendment right by not letting her wear the clothes that correspond with her gender identity. This case is like Tinker v. Des Moines because the facts are almost similar. In Tinker v. Des Moines, they were expressing a political stand, which was the opposition towards the Vietnam War. Ava is no different. Ava is trying to express her solidarity in the LGBT community. Also,
do we have anything that shows she's making a political statement?
well, Your Honor, we can't read anybody's mind, so we have to base it off the intent of what she's trying to feel, and that's based on certain circumstances that happened in the past. See, transgender people are going through deprivation, barely can get a job, hate crimes day by day, and even in Ava's case, she was suspended from school multiple times. She missed her prom and her graduation. So for somebody to be able to go through all that and still stand firm on what she believes in, her intent must be very sincere on her solidarity in the LGBT community, man. And of course you can compare Carvey Smith to this case. Well, not really in a sense, because the facts are nowhere near similar. In Carvey Smith, he was wearing it for a style. This is not a style to her. See, this is like a life or death situation to her. Her psychologist diagnosed her with gender dysphoria, which is in the DSM-5. The suicide rates for transgender is skyrocketing day by day, and people just don't even notice it because people think, oh, they're not people or they're not human. Just like Metro City High School is not seeing her as human, they see her as, I guess, some other category. And that's not how it should be, man. For Your Honor. That's why we're there for asking y'all to reverse the lower court's decision, man.
Counsel, are all those facts in the record?
Are they in the record now, ma'am? No, they're not, so you have to intend it based on facts, ma'am, or based on certain circumstances that happened. Metro City High School also violated Ava's 14th Amendment right by not letting her use the bathroom that corresponds with the gender she is trying to express. This case is like Craig v. Bourne because they both have to do with gender discrimination. In Craig v. Bourne, it was held up to intermediate scrutiny because they had to prove there was an important government goal and there was substantial relation to that government goal.
Well, so counsel, I have a question here on the 14th Amendment issue. So, as you know, the Supreme Court has never held that transgender identity is protected in the same ways as sex discrimination and isn't entitled to intermediate scrutiny in the same ways. So, are you arguing that this case is really a sex discrimination case or gender discrimination case and should be given intermediate scrutiny? Or are you arguing that we should allow transgender identity to be protected by intermediate scrutiny as well?
Well, Your Honor, she was being discriminated on based on her gender, so this should be held up to intermediate scrutiny. And also, instead of this being held up transgender people to intermediate, it should be held up to strict. Because if you think about it, the 14th Amendment was made after slavery was abolished. It was for the minority groups who have less political power than the majority groups to not have an upper hand but be equal with them. Transgender people are going through a lot right now. They're a minority based on like certain other groups like religion, race, and immigrants. So they should have some type of upper hand too, to a sense so everybody can be equal.
Counsel, doesn't this policy apply evenly across both genders? So people who are born male are required to use a male restroom, and people who are born female are required to use a female restroom. That seems to be an even policy across both genders.
Well, Your Honor, in Ava's case, they were saying that it was a privacy issue, in which it was understood. But this has nothing to do with privacy. This is more of a prejudice issue that we're trying to figure out. And prejudice is not a legitimate government interest.
Is there any evidence in the record, counselor, that these policies were targeted specifically at Ava?
Well, Your Honor, the things that were put in this policy, which was newly made, which obviously didn't remind them, which they, of course, they signed up for, but it was a coercive type of deal in a sense because it was either you signed it or you get punished. That doesn't work. And also, if you want to look at the policy in a certain way, it says that males, or not the males, but it says wear the clothes that align up with your gender, or and if Ava was trying to express her gender as in being a female, she wasn't breaking the policy here, which means that the school was targeting her based on the prejudice that the other students felt.
Judge Wilson, was your question about the bathroom policy or the clothing policy?
More targeted to the bathroom policy, but I think both could, if there's any.
Okay, so for the bathroom policy wise, I don't know if I could say correctly, there has nothing to do with using or saying a bathroom that corresponds to gender. See, that's pretty much saying like a separate but equal type of deal, or that makes no sense because at the end of the day, you're still humiliating her in a whole different way, subliminally. You're pretty much saying that she has no rights, and that's not right.
So why then, counselor, should the individual rights or desires of one student usurp all of the collective rights or desires of the school body as a whole? Why should we, are you saying that we should consider her interests over those of all the other students?
Well, Your Honor, the kids aren't feeling a privacy, this is not a privacy issue here, this is a prejudice issue. Being prejudiced is not constitutional, but everybody still has their individual rights no matter what you are. Also, they putting her in that gender neutral bathroom, which they did accommodate, still wasn't the best way for her. You put her in a bathroom which was all the way across the school, which made her miss lunch and also made her late for class. All she was trying to do was stand up for her rights that she believed in. If the school wants to kind of try to take them out, they're not doing, or not take away, but violate her rights, then they're not doing the right thing here.
Counsel, didn't the school say that these policies were for her own safety because she was being bullied?
No, well, yeah, they said that, but that's not the issue here. They were saying, this is more of a prejudice type thing. This has nothing to do with safety, man.
Well, but she was being bullied, and then they instituted these policies, and when she followed them, she stopped being bullied.
Of course, Your Honor. The school's prime goal, their important government goal, of course, which was legitimate, or not legitimate, but important one, was to stop bullying. But you notice that as soon as she put the clothes back on, the bullying was still there. It came back, which means that they weren't stopping bullying. It was a temporary change. We have to look at this in a long-term sense. See, and that's how the school's thinking right now. They want it in a short-term type of way, and that's not how it should be. Because at the end of the day, of course, there's gonna be other transgender students who come to this school. You never know. So instead of trying to solve the problem for one person just because she's a senior and she's about to graduate, just to beat around the bush and just evade the problem, how about you attack the problem as a whole and make educational programs or even have more intensive teachers who can watch on this type of stuff so this bullying on transgender people, or make it more normalized and it doesn't happen anymore.
Counselor, if we're going to follow your suggestion that we, after today, treat gender identity as subject to intermediate scrutiny, that's a big deal for us, right? Because those categories of scrutiny should be very specific, very limited in order to maintain why they're so important in the first place. So are you asking us to just kind of diminish what it means to have intermediate scrutiny, apply intermediate scrutiny to everything we can possibly think of?
No, Your Honor, I'm saying you should apply intermediate scrutiny to this case, or in cases that even go along in the future, because at the end of the day, transgender people aren't gonna go anywhere. Of course, it's a new phenomenon, so people aren't really used to it yet. So I understand that it was gonna be hard for them, like kind of the last second thing to implement that. But at the same time is now to change and actually make this a better place for everyone, not just certain groups because of their political power, man.
Now, if we were to disagree with you on the 14th Amendment issue and say that transgender identity is only subject to rational basis review, do you still win? Does your client still win under a rational basis?
Of course, Your Honor, because yeah, they had a legitimate interest, which was to, of course, stop the bullying, but they went about this in the wrong way. There's no correlation to that. There's no rational relation to that goal they're trying to reach. You taking out one person is not stopping the bullying. Because at the end of the day, those kids still have the same mindset that they came out with before she stopped wearing the clothes.
But counsel, didn't they try other approaches to stop the bullying that didn't work? This was their last resort.
Well, Your Honor, they did try other things, but you don't wanna give them too much credit in a sense, because if their goal is to, the time?
Yeah, but I must stop, so keep going.
Oh. Sorry, but, if their goal is to stop bullying and they're trying everything they can, I feel they should try a little bit more harder. At the end of the day, this should be not just with this school, it should be worldwide, and they should follow by example. And Your Honor, I would like to conclude saying that Ava's rights were violated on the First Amendment by not letting her wear the clothes that correspond with the gender she is trying to express. Metro City High School also violated her 14th Amendment by not letting her use the bathroom that corresponds with the gender she's trying to express, just because people are feeling prejudice. And we therefore ask the court to please reverse the lower court's decision, because at the end of the day, this court matters.